Welcome to the Ecom Growth Podcast, the show for founders and operators building real e-commerce businesses. I'm your host, Jordan Lally. In each episode, we sit down with ecom founders, CEOs, and operators to break down what's actually driving growth, from acquisition and systems to scaling decisions and hard lessons learned. In today's episode, we have Anna Wallander. Anna, for people who don't know your brand yet, can you please tell the people, including myself, what you sell and who's it for?
Sure. Thank you. So my brand is called Akind. Akind is a brand that works with fine jewelry. So that would be solid gold, 14 and 18 karat, and gemstones. So we do rings, bracelets, necklaces, and we do it all in 14 and 18 karat gold. Usually it's more for lifestyle, but we also have more of a wedding segment that has been growing quite a bit lately. So and that's our range today. And we sell at our website, akindstore.com only, well, except for one wholesaler. So today we are almost a direct to consumer. Yeah, that's about us. And we started 2019. That was when the brand was founded. And we have a few principles or sort of milestones that we stick to quite hard. And that is sustainability, which we've always and still work really aligned with, and quality. Our jewelry is of amazing quality. And that's something that of course, we work a lot with. That's important for us. That's our DNA, but also what our customers are reviewing us. We have really, really high reviews in general in our industry for the quality of our products. And then it comes down as well. We also work a lot with being transparent as a brand and working closely with our community. And but that is basically Akind in a nutshell.
Thank you for those insights. I'm also really happy to know that you guys focus on sustainability. You know, us going forward in the world, we definitely should focus on that. I think that's not a strong selling point, at least as much as it should be. You know what I mean?
It was, but that has shifted. When I kicked off with the brand in 2019, that was really strong as an indicator for sales. Now, either the community that we sell to are sort of at least in where I come from or where we are now in Sweden and in the Nordics and maybe also the Northern Europe, that is almost sort of expected by the consumer if that's a modern new brand that you are sustainable somehow. So that has also sort of taken down the using that as sales pitches. But at the same time, globally and politically, it's been dragged down in terms of importance. So it's a bit of an interesting path at the moment, but
Yeah, it's super weird, right? Anyways, roughly, can you give the audience just in rough terms, in broad terms, kind of where you guys are at, revenue, how the team is structured, how many employees you guys have, all that fun stuff.
yeah. So we our revenue is I was just saying before, but I think around 5,000, 4,000, 4 million US dollar or 4 million euros, so somewhere there. We sell mostly in Europe. Our biggest market is Germany, and then it's around in Europe, UK, and in USA is also picking up now. That's the newest market that we're going for. And sorry, what else did you ask?
Are you the only operator there? Do you have like a
Yeah,
marketing
the chief.
team,
Of
fulfillment
course, of course.
team?
Yes, I'm sorry. So I founded the company together with two other people. We founded it in 2019, and I was always running the business, and the other ones were working alongside while doing their other jobs. But then one is now gone, and the other one is 100% employed together with me. It's only due to distance, actually. So one of the founders is based in San Francisco. That was a bit difficult in the long run.
I used to
And
live in
we
San
have,
Francisco, right on.
yeah, it's a bit of
Yeah,
a
I
time.
can.
It became a struggle actually to work like that, especially when we are so few as we are, everyone's. But I mean, it was great. And then we have a marketing team of three, one growth and performance, one influencer and press, PR, and another one for social media and content. And then we have two people in customer service, and that is usually in our size. You don't really need to full time for that, but we do all the packing inside or in house as well, which isn't as common to do. But for us, economically, it's been working out almost the same as if we would have outsourced it. But also, our stock is like so tiny, it doesn't take any space. So it's just a matter of security. And then we have one designer And I think that's it. Yeah. We do have a new one coming in as well in operations. And of course, my
I love it.
co-founder
Okay.
yeah. So we're about a
No.
team of 9.
Okay.
And I
So
think
team of
honestly,
nine.
like team of 9, yeah. And I honestly think that if we work with 4 million euro or if we are up at 8 million euro, we don't need more to get to that. If you know what I mean, like we have the basis of what we need to sort of work it out or to scale it, etc. So, and it was very different when I started because of course everything is a bit more efficient now. So I would say we're quite we have quite a few employees. We, you know, we could also have less, but we have certain things inside or in-house that we don't outsource. So I think that's why also.
I think it's important to keep business and staff in-house. Personally, I like having more control than outsourcing it. That's just my 2 cents on the matter. You guys, like you said, you have a great foundation, a great basis to go ahead and scale up. So congrats on having that solid foundation. If you're building a house, you definitely want to have solid foundation, not sand, right? You don't want to have all these moving
Mhm.
parts or not A players within the company because you can't really scale up as quickly as you would like.
Yeah.
But I'm a bit curious, Anna. So, what were you doing before this that allows you to kind of go into the e-com space with fine jewelry? And I also have a follow-up question with that. Was there a moment in time where you said, you know what, forget my job, forget my corporate life. I'm doing e-commerce. I'm doing this company. Like I have to do this for myself, for my people. Was any of that true for you?
I think for me it was so I was a lawyer before. I used to work in law firms. I educated in Sweden, then I moved to Dubai and I was a lawyer there for around 5 years and then I came back to Sweden continued being a lawyer, but when I came here it started to, you know, become a bit less interesting somehow. I guess I really liked working in a very multinational environment like I did abroad. And also, if I go even further back in time, I was always more business oriented. So my choice was always like business or law, business or law. But then I went for something that I considered being more safe law, but which was quite interesting when I look back. But anyway, and then I moved back to Stockholm and then it started to itch in me a little bit. I kind of had clients all the time, but I wanted to not stop working with them. I thought everything they did was so interesting. So then I went from a law firm to in-house. And I was like, okay, I love this, building a company. I wasn't head of law in-house, head of legal in-house in a tech company in Stockholm. And then I really got the taste of building a company. Not that I specifically did it, but I was a part of something that was being built. And then I started Akind. And the reason why was, I mean, I actually started Akind at the same time as I started my job with an in-house tech company, in-house lawyer in the tech company. And the reason was because I really did not know if I wanted to continue with law from the law firm. So I decided to, I mean, take a chance, I suppose. And I thought about business ideas and I wasn't personally passionate about jewelry. It wasn't anything that I was longing for, but I was passionate about starting something and building an e-com scene very interesting to me because it was more tech. It was still very creative and jewelry came to mind basically because this is in 2009, 2018, when all the industries had gone digital and the whole thing everyone talked about was e-com and digitalize every single um, um, category
Like trends.
or yeah, industry. But jewelry wasn't really being digitalized in at least around here much. So I was like, what's going on here? It's so old fashioned. And then there was a big sustainability trend and I started hearing about lab grown diamonds in the US. That was coming up a little bit mostly on the West Coast, I think. People were talking about it. And then I was like, that makes sense. So there were a lot of things that just made me dragged into it. And then in the end, I was like, okay, we have a sector which hasn't been touched much lately. And it's very old fashioned when I looked at everything. Everything is style of presenting it and just, the whole marketing around it was just not great or modern. And that's why I was going for that because I really saw a business opportunity. And at the same time, I took this job as an in-house lawyer, like I explained before, to cover my life, basically. But I ended up really loving that job. But then because my business grew, in the end, I took a decision, obviously.
Thank you for the insights on kind of the days before business success.
Ah,
What what do you feel like happened that led to early success? Because it sounded to me like you still have the in-house lawyer position, and while you were working there, business kind of took off for you. And so you're like, okay, I'm kind of making more money in my ecom brand. Like, why am I still here? This is my passion. So I guess what led to that early success with the ecom company, with the kind?
because it was such a market then. Everyone, honestly, if you had a good product, my product was good. People liked it. People loved it, reviewed it. It was all about how much I could push my marketing for people to explore it. That in 2019 until 22, it was so much easier to get investments. I just filled up I filled up my bank with investors, and then I took off basically a couple of times. So it was a lot easier actually than it is now. So I feel like always the earlier you started before 2022 and the harder you pushed investment, the better. Because unless you went too much on the minus on the last row, because then of course you have a lot of catch up afterwards. Because after 2022, the shift was so strong. It was such a clear shift between growth, and then from growth, that was everything, to profitability, that's now everything. So I think my product was strong, and we did from the beginning build a very nice brand in a world where we did not have a lot of competition online in that sense, because it was really a sector that hadn't been evolved or explored so much by other entrepreneurs that went for ecom. So I think it was really the right timing and the right decision. But like I said, in 2022, everything got hard or harder.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I kind of have a question regarding like marketing channels and acquisition. So, was there a specific channel that surprised you the most, either positively or negatively?
No, we've done, if we look at paid ad, Meta and Google, that was clear. That was going to be the ones for us. We
Paid
don't
ads?
in ads, or you were talking ads or social media? Sorry.
Either, just any.
Yeah, okay. So in paid, those were the clear ones. We did not ever really explore TikTok. We explored TikTok, but not in paid. Neither did we explore. I think we have YouTube. You need more budget, and for TikTok, I always consider the um the users to be a little bit too young for what I sell. But that's now, and I think that has already shifted, because everyone, 3-4 years ago, those are new, being my consumers more and more. So, but yeah, no, I think it was pretty clear. So we divided, right now it's about 55% Meta and 45% Google. And we've done a few periods we've been, up on Google a lot more, and then maybe 65% Google. I don't think that's the right way to go for a brand like us. We're really, trying hard to build a brand and position ourselves. We're not an ecom platform that represents 50 brands and just say you need to top the search. But that's also important. So of course we still spend money there. And so that's
Absolutely.
clear.
I always say if you can figure out paid
But how
ads,
would
if you
you
can,
ever know? Sorry?
I would say if you can figure out or if you can understand how to crack the code with paid advertising, you just learn how to print cash is what I always say.
Yeah, I know that's the hardest. So yes, it seems like I know it works, but I still don't know how to make it work the best. It's so difficult. I think, yeah, that's the hardest. But throughout the years, it's become more and more difficult also.
Yes, it becomes more difficult because more and more people are advertising, so the cost per impression definitely increases. In addition to the new algorithm update, I'm not sure if you've heard about that.
The meta one.
The new meta one, yeah, that basically is ad fatigue on steroids. You have to have at least like 25 creatives per campaign in order for your campaign to even be somewhat profitable. But I imagine you're spending 45% of your budget on Meta, 45% of your budget on Google. It sounds to me like it's profitable, right? Like, or else you wouldn't continue to spend money there. So do you know what like your ROAS, your CAC, your LTV is on those metrics?
No, the ROAS what can my ROAS be? 3, maybe? 3 point? I'm not sure exactly.
Three,
Because I'm
three's
the
still three's good,
It's a 4.
Right,
I think
right,
we're
right.
right now yeah, we were just talking about that the other day. I don't know the general or average ROAS that we have, but we aim for 4. So I think and for us, we try to play it along a lot with our ads and content. Also, it's a bit frustrating because if you know what works, then you need to produce it, and then you need to and that takes time and whatnot. So I keep on speaking to my team about try to dig into AI more because that is helping. I mean, I do that on my end, but then I need my creative team to also start working a lot faster with that one. It's just like when everyone is busy and then I'm like, you have to dig into that. It takes a little time just to learn, but it's also once they or learn, but just to actually get familiar with a platform. But once it's there, then it's faster. So I think I'm thinking that it will be a shift in content creative as well. That's going to work faster, which might be helpful when Meta is now requiring a lot more. But yeah, so I think sometimes it's clear what they need or what they want because you see the number goes up, but then you still have to generate new alternatives fast.
Mm. It's so ridiculous because as I sit in the ads manager account for Facebook, roughly 2 or 3 creatives are getting 90 to 95% of the entire budget. The rest of them aren't even being utilized or even spent. But if I were to restructure the campaign and only place the three winning advertisements, the 3 winning creatives, the campaign would fatigue in like 2 days. So
Yeah,
literally you need 25 creatives in that one campaign. It's I hate the update. It's so stupid.
it is
But
silly. It is.
go for it, go for it, yeah. I have a question about branding.
Yep.
What are you and the team actively doing? Because you brought up branding. It's important to grow your brand because it is. Because if you think of phones, who do you think of? You think of Apple. That's the power of a brand, right? And I'm pretty sure when you think of jewelry, at least your goal is when people think of jewelry, fine jewelry, they're thinking of your company. So out of curiosity, what are you actively doing or what have you tried in the past to grow your brand?
So we work with PR. We did
Okay.
I think in the last year, we worked very differently with PR to establish the brand. So we've started UK and the USA last year, a bit more this year. And that is the strategy we have with them is to more product placements. But also the press that we get is a bit more prestigious. That's quite nice for a brand. And as a brand, I mean, we also work with messages, of course, that we create in-house and we do brand campaigns. Brand campaigns are rarely generating sales. So you have to be very careful with prioritizing that because it's taking time from other things that could be a bit more short term, but very nice in the short run. We do maybe not as much as we should, but we do prioritize the brand part as well. We always do every fall and every spring we do something some hit for the brand. So we dedicate a shoot and a message and actually spend also on our paid channels on brand stuff. And then it's not about introducing a new product. It's more about talking about the philosophy of the brand, some sustainability angle or whatever it could be.
Out of curiosity, I know you're thinking, but I have a follow-up question. When you are running these brand campaigns, I assume that you guys are simply retargeting people who consume some length of content from that brand campaign with a sales campaign.
Now the brand, well, yeah, the brand, exactly. The brand campaign usually ends up in the higher funnel. So
Exactly,
it's
top
more
of funnel.
about well, it depends on the message. But for example, the last one we did, this is about, it was more about an USP for Akind. And it was not really an introduction to the brand, but it's sort of hey, pay attention to this. So we wanted to get new clicks into the site. And then, of course, we can retarget them with any more sales-oriented ads. So that has been more the strategy there. But I think it's difficult to measure. And I always feel like I don't know what that gave us. But of course, building brand is also choosing the right ambassadors and influencers to work with us. I think we did do okay before, but we weren't so strict about who we work with. I feel like we're a lot stricter now since fall. I actually tightened the budget almost completely from influencer marketing in August and then just for many different reasons. But now we're ongoing again and spending on more, I would say, more selective than before. And I think that's also a brand strategy of where do we want to be placed, on who, at least where do we pay to be placed. I mean, not only the one that sells, but also the one that has a good vibe with Akind. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, your one wrong move with PR or partnerships for the brand can definitely tarnish your overall brand. So for sure,
Mm.
I think it's definitely to be smart. This might be a tricky question. Most people kind of have to think about this one, but what numbers do you personally pay attention to the most? And this can be outside of sales numbers.
I mean, the very most, or one of them is absolutely cost of sale,
Yep, the CAC
daily per country. I also look at returns, not daily, but I pay quite close attention to that. What else? Of course, net revenue. Cost and net revenue. Those are the things that I'm like alarming on every day.
for sure.
But I look at a lot of, I think, yeah, that would be my top anyway.
Okay. And how has the way you think about ROAS, cost of acquisition, or even LTV changed as you scaled?
I did not think too much about it in the first few years when it was easy to get investment, to be honest. I think we weren't so cost conscious by then.
I have all this excess capital,
Yeah.
essentially.
And I mean, valuations are amazing and everyone just want to invest because everyone had a FOMO. So it was not,
Man, the times, those are the good old days.
those were the good old days. It's crazy. It's crazy. I am paying more and more attention now, which is to the gold price. Almost every other day, because I don't know, like everyone have heard that it's gone up, but it's insane. It's just crazy. So
How
I
how much
ended
has it
the
gone up
year,
by? Sorry to interrupt. Gold. How much has
oh
gold
no,
gone up by over the past few years?
what is it, the past few years? 150% maybe?
Okay.
So from January 1st, I think the goal was like 110. Now let me think. 110 euro, probably like 110 US dollar as well then per gram. I know we measure it with gram. And then now it's like 150. So from 110 to 150 in 27 days. I can't cope. I
20s?
can't cope, to be honest. Because before Christmas, I was increasing the prices somewhere in November. And I was like, oof, this hurts, because there was such a big increase, skyrocketed last year. And I was like, yeah, I probably need to raise it a little bit more in January. And now I'm like, I'm gonna shock everyone now. So it's a battle, and that's very political, the gold price. So governments are investing a lot more in gold when the times are bad, and as we know, it's difficult to trade now, or more difficult to trade at least, and it's in very heavy insecurity on the global market. And then naturally, what's always happening is that the investments are going more towards gold, and that is also a big part of government's savings. So it's a reaction basically of what's going on in the world. And of course, we have gold. That's our base. Every single product on our website is made out of gold. So it really hits us hard. We have not sort of stopped selling our products. They just became more expensive. So our average order value is up quite a lot, but the number of orders are down a bit. And that's always resulted in some sort of growth. But of course, we lose customers if we have earrings for $350 and then now they are 700. Now I'm just pricing them to 750. Of course, that's a chunk of consumers that are no longer going to be able to buy those, whereas we get more money for them when someone buys them. So there is like, it's a bit, yeah, that's a bit bigger story of gold, but basically I'm paying a lot of attention to gold and the gold price now as well.
That's a very unique answer. No
But
one has
it's
said
not
that, so
very it's
so
not
thank you.
very e-com typical. But yeah, for
Right.
e-com, course revenue. Sometimes we will look at CAC as well, but I'm mostly looking at course now.
Gotcha. So just to kind of recap what you said, AOV is going up, which looks like a great thing on paper, but the total number
Mm,
of sales is down.
yes.
Number of individual sales.
Mm,
Gotcha. Okay. Do you foresee gold going down here soon once I guess, economy stabilizes?
it has to. I thought about that every like month. It's like now it must be enough. No, but in the industry, people are not believing that it's maybe it's because they don't want to tell the customers that whatever they bought is actually not going to be worth as much soon. But they don't believe that the gold is going to come down much, but rather that they will be stabilized. But you wonder, I mean, I do wonder when you've seen the rally in the last week only. It's going down as we speak.
Okay.
But historically, gold has always been going up. It's like an index fund. They always go up historically. It's hard to beat them.
No, right.
But they have had dips after tough times or during periods where the world has, felt better, maybe. Gold
Sorry.
gold has, had little dips. But in the long run, even if the gold would go down, in the long run, I'm pretty sure like it will continue slowly over the time anyways. So I think it should, slow down, perhaps go down a bit, and then even out in the growth. But that's a guess. That's a wild guess because experts can't tell. Like you can't.
Right. So out of curiosity, I think I know my answer, but just I'm still curious. When you do see that dip in gold price, is that your time to just purchase as much gold as possible?
No, because we don't have so much cash flow. So you can't just buy, like, it's really expensive, even if it dips 30%, it will be really expensive. So for us, we just, we have to have a healthy cash flow. And maybe, we would, but it's very hard to time the pricing of gold. We were meant to buy last week and then it was 10% cheaper than this week. It's like, fuck, we just had, a lot to do last week. So it's a bit, no, I wouldn't do that. I couldn't unless I had um, a lot of money left over. But as
For
soon as you
sure,
have
for
money, you
sure.
reinvest all the time because you want to, yeah.
I want to talk about some mistakes, bottlenecks, and some hard lessons, all right, down to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
What's an expensive mistake you made that most founders can't avoid?
Can't avoid.
No, can't.
Can avoid. That's a tricky question. I always think it's tricky to answer those sort of, mistake question because you do mistakes all the time. I wonder what really hit you do in a way.
I laugh because I make mistakes every day.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the most important part is just like work with the right people. I guess one of the mistakes I did, or I work. Everyone was very young. Everyone is very young in my company because that's the cheapest, to be honest. But what I've done later when people have been exchanged for some reason, usually because they've taken off, is that every time I exchange someone, I'm just getting someone who's better. So I'm like, okay, wow, it really pays off to have a bit more talent or a bit more seniority. So I think if I started another business, I would make sure to surround myself with more maybe not super senior but more senior people with high caliber and just not being too cheap on that one, which I was more in the beginning. But I guess also in the beginning you don't have too much money and then it's like, oof, every salary is hurting.
No,
But
absolutely.
I don't know if that's like my biggest mistake, or it's just more of a learning or a suggestion or advice. But
No, we'll take it. You're totally good. So essentially, yes, on paper, going after the cheapest labor might sound good, but the productivity that you get from the cheapest labor might hinder you or hinder your growth. Reason being is because they're super new, they're green, they might not have as much ambition, or their skill set might lack in some areas. However, if you hire a more senior consultant or senior employee that has the ambition, definitely possesses the skill, they can actually drive revenue growth more, even though they cost a bit more. Is that
yeah,
essentially what you're saying?
that's what I'm saying. And another thing is people also tend to, I don't want to say lazy, but once someone has been for a long time at a job and they just know what they do, they get blind sometimes as well. So if I continue talking about staff, I think you need to shake it up sometimes. And I would say that's a mistake I've done. I haven't shaken it up when I needed to, specifically, and I think that would have gained me more if I did.
Yeah, you and I definitely sound pretty familiar, or at least similar. I struggle doing the exact same thing every single day. Like I could do it for like a good while, but like after a while, I'm like, man, I gotta change this up, you know? Kind of might be a difficult question for you. As you're
Sure.
growing, as you're scaling, things are looking fantastic. Did any part of the business break? Fulfillment, sales, CAC went through the roof with advertising, fulfillment
Yeah.
stops, did anything break?
Yeah, the performance broke last year. It was really tough. When now
Really?
2024. So we had a growth the first 6 months in 2024, which was so strong, like compared to what we had before. And then in 2020, in like August 24, it started to slow down, and we just didn't really we didn't make any changes or anything. We didn't really understand what was happening. So we went from like almost 50%, and we're doing this quite organically. There's, everything that we earn, we put back. So it was fantastic for a while, and then just flattened out, and we just didn't understand. So yeah, that was technical error with Google that had a double tracking setup somehow. So it looked as if we were earning more through Google, while actually we were fooled by the numbers and the setup was an issue. So we ended up spending more on Google because the indication was, this is doing really great for you. So put your money here. And this is when we had like almost 70% on Google, and we just started to struggle, but we did the wrong move all the time. I was not personally spending so much time on performance at that stage. I did it early in the days, and nowadays I do it. And I was on maternity leave as well. So
Well, that's a
I just
well,
didn't really
okay, yeah.
understand like what was going on. I wasn't present. The girl that was in charge, she was also, anyway, it doesn't matter. We figured out what it was eventually, along with a firm, but it hit us so hard that fall. Growth stopped. It was sort of flat. And then we spent 2025, first 4 to 5 months with fixing issues, because there were also more issues with the performance than that, but that was a big thing. And that was sort of fixed in February. And then it took another month or 1.5 to gain tracking back. And then there was also the IDs were changed for some reason. I can't remember why we changed all the product IDs. And then so everything restarted. It was on restart like afterwards. So it was really a long period of just like, what the fuck? Everything slowed down. But then it picked up again in the summer. But that was hard because when you have your budgets and you obviously they are just completely missed and so underperforming, then you don't really know how to pay the bills anymore because that's where we were. So
Mm.
that was really tough. One of the things then I would say that if I take back a learning from that would be, so even if you have a great people in-house is dangerous sometimes because it, if they don't open their eyes, like you have to meet and greet, you have to like have other people around you that work with similar things, either groups or an agency that you can chat with now and then just to check up on things. Because if you're all alone for years sitting with the same performance and whatever, then I think it's tricky. I think that's with everything. Like if you work with Meta and Google, I mean, even their social, you need to speak to people, you need to learn, you need to like taking knowledge. And I feel like we did not really take in knowledge, and this happened and we didn't fix it until there was a panic and whatever. So I feel like a lot of those things could be avoided if you just, I don't know. One of the things we're thinking of now is just, okay, we have an in-house and we also know a lot of the e-com brands in Stockholm. So we could gather e-com performance marketing managers every second month to just discuss topics and just chat on like raise things or whatever. So there are some connections so that you can help out. That's so crucial, that part. So yeah, you need to have strength on growth on everything that concerns e-com and performance. If you
Thank you
lose
for
something with PR and influencers, that doesn't really matter. It's not going to hurt your business for 3 months if they're gone, but this hurts your business. That's my experience.
No, absolutely. Thank you for sharing your experience. I'm a bit curious though. You said it was tough to pay the bills at one point. What were some action steps you did to come out of that? Like that's scary for any business. And I'm glad you guys made it out.
Well, we didn't pay. First of all, we didn't pay. We just, avoided a lot of emails for a while. And then we lend money from our own pockets into the company quite a lot. And then we started to pay it off when the Christmas season came. So I'm even with Akind. It's not where you want to end up. But, when you have months of craziness, then yeah.
No, and I do want to apologize if this is like too personal. You aren't the only one to go through this. Like I speak with individuals on a weekly basis where, no, yes, it's so awesome being a business owner, but no one really wants to shed light on the tough times. But that's what makes us human. For anyone out there who's listening and you think your business is just rainbows and fairy dust 24/7, you're lying to yourself. Like this is real life, this is business, and shit gets fucking hard. So thank you, Anna, for opening up about that.
Yeah, sure.
So, were you gonna say something?
No, no.
Is there a belief that you had to let go of? It's 2020, starting in 2019, is there a belief that you had that you no longer possess in
Yes.
2026? Yeah, talk to us.
Company valuations.
Okay, okay, expand. What do you mean by that?
So, we're taking in our third round. We were like, "Oh, it's going so good." So, I mean, in 2022, just we were not in a hurry. We just like, "Who do we wanna have?" That's how we started, like, "Who should we target? Who should we ask to fund us?" And then that was, like, January or something. And then, I mean, the valuation when we started to have the discussion was just crazy great. And then after the war in Ukraine broke out, and I was like, shit, we're getting in a hurry now because the world is changing. And it was not because it changed like that. It was because the whole discussion was like, okay, this is going to be pullback for investors. The world is changing. Well, that was a signal, basically. Even, it didn't happen in a day, but that was a signal. And then so all the investors pulled back. And they wanted to hold the investment. They were like, okay, we push the invest. I want to see the next and the next and the next month. So they were saying to us like, okay, let's see how it goes the next 3 months. And then, we can take the discussion then, because everyone was on quite nervous. And they were, and for us, it got just tougher and tougher every month because we had counted on a very easy investment. And we also didn't count on because consumers also became much more careful. So every month was going less amazing than we had hoped for. We were starting the discussions with investors somewhere end of Jan, and we closed it in October. It was a real struggle. And the valuation went, I don't know, cut in half or even a third or something, maybe. So I did not have the reality check by then, because everyone was then talking about this is going to be, 2 years really hard on us. And then it's going to turn like 2-3 years maybe. So I was like, okay, I'm going to survive. We're going to work this out, turn into being profitable and not be relying on investors. Okay, that's a challenge. We'll take it. But yeah, it's now 4 years and it just keeps on being disasters all over the world. And if I look at the market, e-com, yes, some brands are picking up and doing really well, but that's what you saw back then is not what you see now. So I'm like, okay, I'm fine now. This is what it is. But before, when I started, because everyone was starting their e-com and there were exit after exit, you read about it all the time. That you don't read about anymore. There is only AI now. That is like where people are putting money and then you're seeing nice exits. I mean, sometimes, rarely. But I'm also talking about my market here in Europe and especially in Sweden, because that's the newsletter I read. Of course, also I hear about it globally, but so things really change. But it took a while to be okay with that. And now it's more of a lifestyle. Like, do I want to be an entrepreneur? Do I want to have this? I love it, but there's a lot to carry on my shoulders because I'm nervous.
Mm,
So that's
mm.
like the sort of like, okay, what do I care mostly about in my life? I also got 2 kids since I started this. I do want to have time with them. Before them, I worked all the time and now I don't. So life has also changed a bit along the way. But so I think, I think I've really calmed down in my expectation.
Absolutely. And I do want to say this for those listening. I treat business like my baby.
Mm.
I don't necessarily have any intentions on having kids because I would probably be asking myself the exact same questions you're asking yourself now. I I would want to be a dad over being a full-time entrepreneur and running a business. Do I love my business? Yes, but family is vitally important to me, and I think I would much rather be a dad to be a business owner. So yeah, that's my reasoning behind that, in case you were curious. Let's actually let's switch it up. Let's talk about some things that are going amazingly well. So in the past 12 months, what do you feel like has been rock star for the team? Any major improvements? What has been like, yes, that was amazing. So happy we did that. Anything that went well?
It's been such a tough year, to be honest. So I'm just trying to figure out what was great. Like,
Yeah, yeah, you take a long time. Nothing's going good. Sorry.
honestly, like, it's really hard because all the other years were so much better in sense of like what happened internally as well. So we're 9, but 4 of them are on maternity leave. So it was a big hit. Yeah.
Half your workforce is like, all right, I'm going to be a mom. Hold on.
The issue with hiring young girls, by the way, and I'm one of them, so I don't want to say that. I don't mean it actually, but in a big team and everyone is the same, it's a bit of an issue. Okay, so what has been great? I think we've done some really nice. Well, you know what has been really nice? I've started to work with new people, still, of course, like my team and all that. But I think that has been so given to get new perspectives and just like refresh myself a bit with my mind and how we should think in house and people with different experiences because it's you work almost like on a train track. You just go and go and go. And when you work for a very long time with the same sort of setup, you continue because you learn each other, you know each other, so it just functions. But when someone comes in new but just question something, then it start moving your head a bit more. So I think that has been quite nice. Of course, the new markets that we've entered are growing super well. So that's also nice. A few things product wise that I've come to realize is we can we've made decisions to expand our product portfolio, not beyond jewelry, but still. So I think that was also a result of trying a few new things in terms of products that really worked last year. And then just like, okay, hey, we can go for this and that as well. So now we're prepping really, really nice launches, which I think also might attract even further beyond the current target consumer. And so I think that has been, I would say, like, especially the last 6 months has been really filling me up with new strategies and getting back to growth. But I wouldn't say that team wise, it's been an awful year, actually. I mean, that's the truth. We're just understaffed and people went on sick leave and it's been like unexpected things together with it hasn't been great. So that becomes more of a heavier shoulder on me and my business partner and some others. So, but I think the good thing, like I said, is that we searched for consultants and we started to work with new people that also gave some new insights. So I think this year there's a lot of delivery that is going to be exciting. In a year, it will be interesting to evaluate the year. And everyone is coming back also like in April. So it's going to be good.
I was going to ask, when is
Yeah.
majority of the staff coming back? So
No.
April? Okay.
No, maternity leave is 12 months at least, up to 18 months. So it's not like you're rid of them for a while. Yeah.
Maternity leave here in the States, but other parts of the country is vastly different. My sister's best friend is on maternity leave right now, and she says it's like 3 months,
Yeah.
I think, or it's 12 to 18. America is a bunch of workaholics. All we love to work. Anyways, we can move past that. So I would love to have you back on in 12 months to see how growth has
Exactly.
been.
I'll let you know.
For sure. So we have time for about 2, possibly 3 more questions.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were starting over again today, where would you put all of your attention, focus, and energy?
Building the website and developing great products, I think, and also surrounding myself with a good team. I think, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so website, better product, and if you can, surround yourself with a better team. Gotcha.
I think we have a good product. Honestly, from the beginning, we've always been appreciated for the product. So, but I think if I start again, I would really, really pay strong attention to that again. Probably I would have more knowledge if I did it like all over again. If I would do jewelry again, that's not certain, but if I would. But generally, and then e-com, make sure that that's working out fine. And then if everything is aligned, there is a nice like flow there, then you push marketing. Content is like
King.
You just have to do it. You just have to know it from the data you collect. I would, yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of content. The podcast helps, but when it comes to sitting down and speaking in front of a camera, I'm not like, let's do that. I'm not my cup of tea.
That's okay.
We got one last question for you, Anna. What's one lesson you pass down to a founder trying to break through the revenue range that you're currently at? So someone who's just starting out, maybe they have a goal of becoming an e-commerce founder, or they're just started and their revenue range is like, I don't know, 500K per year or less. What's something that you would want to pass down to them?
I would find a partner that complements me and go, that is strong in another way than I would. And I would find if I'm not really good with, that's what I would do if I started again, by the way. If I'm not really good in paid ads, paid perform, paid search, um, that's someone I would team up with who was really strong, or at least, loved it so much into the very nerdy detail. Or that would be the first employee, probably anyway. So
Find
that's
someone who's really good at
right.
marketing.
Anyone who starts the business, that's what it is. And then, yeah, what do you say to someone who starts a business? There's so many things to say, but don't focus on like the logo. Just, yeah, you can do a nice logo, but people tend to focus on the name and all of that. And the fun things, the coloring, you can change the color later, and the logo, it's nice if it's nice, but I mean, it's try to, you know what I would focus on? I would focus on the product market fit very much.
There you go. Great answer. Yes.
Because and also make sure that that is timeless a bit more. There are a lot of trends coming. You do like big spikes in your growth, but then it drops because it's easy to copy, or it's easy for the trend to shift into something else. Like one of the typical things that posters on the wall, it's still fine, it's still nice and so, but it was so insanely trendy. So there were a lot of companies that just like exploded, and suddenly, I mean, it emptied out. It's sort of like the balloon just burst because people had bought that and, got interested in doing other things in their homes. I think it could be timeless, but then you have to shift your work or your product. But yeah, I think product market fit, and try to find something that's going to work over time.
Absolutely. Trends
Unless you
come
can
and
sell it
go.
in 3 years, that's also good.
Anna, I genuinely appreciate you being on. You gave us a ton of knowledge, a ton of gems. I was laughing my ass off for most of this podcast, so thank you so much. Do you have any closing notes, any closing pointers?
No, I think it's been a great talk. I don't have anything more to add than just whoever listens, I hope you enjoyed it. And please take a look at our sites,
Where
kindstore.com. I think, yeah, we sell all over. So, and anyone can reach out if they want any suggestion, if I can help.
Perfect. Any like social media they can find you at?
Yeah, they can find me at my Instagram, which is not open to public. So it's a bit hard, but better to do Akind's Instagram, which is Wear a Kind, WEAR, a kind. And I
Nice.
can answer there too, but if someone reaches for Anna, then my colleagues will tell me.
Gotcha. Anna, again, it was a pleasure having you on. Audience, for those out there listening, thanks for tuning in, and until next time.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.